Chessman Dan here. Day 4 of playing chess every day until I beat Magnus Carlsen. Recap of today's chess playing. Played a total of 3 games. 1 in which I played my brother. 2 against strangers. All 3 games were done in rapid chess, 10-minute game chesses. I played as white, black, white. In the previous video, I'm not sure if I clarified, but just to clarify my strategy. When I am playing as white, I genuinely want to stick with the London system. It's the easiest for me in terms of memorization, as well as just overall control of the center. And as black, I'm going to attempt to learn and practice the King's Indian. Regardless, the final game in which I will be recapping is me playing as white, so obviously, guess what I'm going to play? The Sicilian! Yeah, we're going with the London. Right, typical to any London system, the accelerated London system, as chess.com likes to describe it. We start off with a queen's pawn opening. Natural reaction, get mirrored by the opponent. Develop my dark squared bishop out. All right, let's take a second. Currently, at the end of the day, I'm at 318 elo. My opponent develops b5 pawn. Why? I'm not sure. Those anyone who watches this video who may be a more advanced player, please tell me what my opponent's trying to do. I see that that pawn isn't attacking anything. He's bringing out potentially his bishop, which is fine, right? You bring out your bishop. I'm assuming, and this is me. Maybe I'm overthinking it because it's just the first few moves of the day, in which I would just bring out my pawn, and then he bring out his bishop. But even then, yeah, he's defending it. This pawn is now being defended by both the bishop and the queen. However, I'm just overthinking it. Keep in mind, this is exactly what's going through my head while we're playing a 10-minute rapid game. Natural development, bring out my pawn to e3. He pushes his pawn to b4. Have no idea why. I bring out my knight. Previous video, I do not develop my knight to d2 as quickly. My development of the knight in the previous game doesn't really impact the results of last game. However, I'm trying to get in the habit of moving my knight to d2, which then allows for easy access from between my rook and my queen. Well, this is a really good. I don't know. I feel like I've seen this opening before, or at least black's opening, where he has a very strong pawn structure. I don't know what it's called yet. I'm going to learn. Next video, I will tell you. Develop my knight. Best move I could have made. He pushes his pawn for the 3rd time. From my understanding of beginner's chess, genuinely speaking, you do not want to move a piece multiple pieces, especially if you're going to leave it hanging. He brings his pawn out. My instinct is to attack with the a2 pawn. That way it opens up my a file for my rook. I do that. A brilliant move. Brilliant. According to chess.com. The best move you could have played? Develop my light squared bishop. He brings out his bishop. Here, I feel super confident in the game. I have way better development, in my opinion. I'm about to kick out his dark squared bishop with a pawn. And, based on the next move, I am up 3.2. Thus far, I feel like my opening is really well. And not just saying the bias because of what chess.com is telling me. So he moves it back. Now potentially offering a dark squared bishop trade. At this point, I feel confident. At this point of the London system and in my progress with playing the London, I feel really good. Next move, I move my dark squared bishop back. Typically speaking, whenever during the London system, when an opponent offers an exchange or is putting pressure on my dark squared bishop, it is a good idea to to move it back because if my opponent were to take, I were to take. However, I feel like in hindsight, this is probably not the best because now I have my A file and my H file covered. If my A file, if my queen side of the board was more closed off, this would have made perfect sense because now I have a complete opening out of castle. My my king would be very guarded, and now I have open access. Boom, boom. Probably not the best move. The best move apparently would have been to move my pawn. I don't. My pawn to b3. Maybe because it allows my queen for development. He takes. I take. Best move from there. Here, he leaves a pawn hanging. Naturally take. He brings out, develops his knight. I push this forward. See, this is where, although I have such a good advantage, I don't know what to do. And although I've been losing in the past few videos, I feel like this is going to be very crucial for my understanding and my studying of chess. In other words, although I am losing, recapping my games, excuse me, and recording them is forcing me to try to understand my moves more. And at this point of the game, I'm up 4.1. I'm doing very well compared to my opponents. And during this game, I feel it too, but it's just the pressure of don't fuck up, don't fuck up, don't fuck up. He brings out his knight. I don't mind the exchange because now I could attack pressure on his rook. And at this point, I had an inkling that my opponent was way less experienced than I was. When he moved his knight there, I thought about it for a second. I didn't know if I should take with the bishop. However, I did this calculation in my head, and it worked out. You're going to see he moves his pawn there, his pawn to c5, which gives me a free rook. The best move I could have played. Not bad. Maybe I did castle, not bad. Maybe I should have taken. It wasn't a hanging pawn, but let's explore. If I would have taken the queen, he could have either taken, would have been the best move. Yeah, probably would have been way better doing that. Instead, I don't decide. Yeah, this probably would have been smart. I castled, not the best, not the worst move. The game, algorithmically wise, is telling me to. That wasn't English at all. Take this pawn. At this point of the game, I am up 0.12. In terms of all my videos thus far, which has only been 3, aside from this one, I've never been this up against an opponent, especially using the London system. So things have to be working if I'm getting this good thus far, or at least I'm improving. I move my bishop out, checking my opponent. During my thought, I wanted him to take with the knight, and then I would take him with the knight. Would have been a check. Let's explore if he would have taken that trade. It would have checked, put him in check, and at this point, he probably would have moved. Maybe he could have castled. Wait, hold on. Would that have been good? Regardless, I envisioned something like that. Instead, my opponent moved his king. First blunder. All right. Prior to here, I'm up 13. I move my queen, or excuse me, I move my rook to attack this pawn because I didn't see how it was being defended by the queen. So I just gave up a rook. Here comes the beginning of the end. I'm still up a lot. I'm still up 8 points. I pushed a pawn, trying to kick the queen out. Not the best move. Now I take. This is probably the best move I could have done. It was a hanging pawn. Me with, oh my gosh. I'm just seeing this for the first time. At this point, taking this hanging pawn, or prior to, I am up 19. I am so close to developing him. Oh. Yes, that's cool. Puts his bishop there. Yes. Here comes the beginning of the end. Let's see. I have mate in 10. Mate in 10. You want to see how quickly things could change in chess? I'll show you. Now I'm completely losing the game. What would have been smart? Let's see. Let's see how they would have played. I would have gone here. What would my opponent have done? Maybe my opponent would have applied pressure here. Check. And I would have gone here, here, here. And I think that's checkmate. Wait, isn't that right? Here, here, check. I don't know what he could have done at this point. Maybe here, check. Something like that. Oh, I could have just taken that. Taken the rook. Cabron! It's fine. All right, we just gave it the game. Takes my knight. I take it. I'm not even describing what's happening because I just gave up the game. Just like that. I take. Brings out the rook. You can see shortly how quickly I lose. He's at this point, I could tell I could have won if I wouldn't have messed it up. Because you're gonna see how long it takes for my opponent to checkmate me. So as we're moving up, I'm moving what I can. He should have taken a hanging pawn. I don't think my opponent really understands that during the end game you take up all the pawns you can. Leaves me hanging. He's just chasing checks. Not definitely the best move. I move my rook here. I'm trying to figure out the best moves. At this point, the game, we're under 3 minutes now. Because I'm in between each move. I realize I messed up. I'm losing the game. However, I don't want to get in the habit of resigning because I do not know chess enough to understand when I could lose, nor when can I my opponent. That was in English. I'm too new. I'm gonna lose regardless. I might as well play it out. Get more endgame experience. Best move here. That wasn't the best. At least when invading, the only positive of me losing this game is that as my opponent try to chase down my king, it seems to me that I'm making the right decisions for the most part when it comes to escaping. I should have taken it there. Why would I have taken it there? That would have been best, huh? Then you're gonna gone here. Then I'm gonna gone here. Then I'm gonna gone here. And then I'm 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 gone here. Yeah, regardless, I'm done. We're just gonna fast forward the game a bit. I think I'm getting used to the explorer. Again. Boom. That's it. There's not much to it. Regardless, let's look at the recap. If we go down here in the beginning, a pretty easy trend across a few of my videos. Opening's usually really strong for me. I'm understanding a little bit of the basics of opening, especially when it comes to the London system. Opening 86% to his 68% accuracy. Middle game, 62% to my opponent's 71%. And I believe my rating dropped specifically when I gave up my rook at the beginning of the end. And my end game, 21% accuracy. It's better than 0.